What is happening, everyone? I am your gracious host, the Super Tired Gamer, and this is the Weekly Rant. Since this is the debut episode of the Weekly Rant, and I get to say pretty much anything I want on this show, I'm going to give you a bit of an intro as to who I am, why I'm here, and a bit of a concept for what the review show is, and this Weekly Rant show, and the other show I plan on doing. After that, we're going to go on to the weekly topic, which I will introduce after the intro. Alright, first things first, I am the Super Tired Gamer, as I introduced earlier, and as you've seen in the credits of the review show, my real name is Jordan Woolen. I'm not afraid to hide that from anyone, it's no big deal. I'm doing this show because, for the longest time, at least a few years, I've been a huge, I don't want to say fan because fan is a bit of an extreme term, but I have been an avid viewer of review shows, whether it's Siskel and Ebert way back when I was a kid, or X Play when it came along, and I will get to X Play and its current state on one of these other weekly rants. You can guarantee that, because it used to be awesome, and it is awesome no longer. And then, of course, I discovered the internet. And by that, of course, I don't mean I discovered the internet. I had discovered the internet as a whole, far before then. But what I mean is I discovered the internet review shows, not internet text reviews, as you would call them, because that's kind of how reviews were back then. That's all they were, is they were text. And I did a few of that on a forum I used to go to. I used to do game reviews back then, back when I was like, I think 15 years old. That was a while ago. But back then, internet reviews didn't really exist in video format. It was all text format, like I said, and that was great, but you didn't really get so much of the personality of the person behind it. Sure, they would show through their writing, but it wasn't as prominent as you would get in an actual video. And that's when things changed, because people like the AVGN, the Angry Video Game Nerd, that guy with the glasses crew, the Nostalgia Critic, the Cinema Snob, the Spoony One, Linkara, Angry Joe, Nostalgia Chick, Benzai, Bennett the Sage, and people like that, they kind of changed it. They started a revolution almost, because there's so many internet reviewers out there now, but they kind of started it. And when I first saw the AVGN and the Nostalgia Critic, I was blown away because I had no clue that you could actually do something like that on the internet. A show with actual structure and an actual host. It was like watching Siskel and Ebert again, except quite a bit more vulgar and quite a bit more angry, of course. And I wanted to do something like that ever since I started watching these shows. And I guess I just never got around to it because things like school or work got in the way. But now I'm in a position where I can try and do this. I can try and make a show like this. And I hope that I can not necessarily get big with it, but at least get some people who like the show. I'd like to think that I might be funny and informative. I try to be informative as far as much as I can. So basically, why I'm here is because, mainly because I can. I mean, not to really say that it's my dream to be an internet reviewer. I don't think it's anyone's dream to be an internet reviewer, because I know for a fact that Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, he wants to do things with film. I mean, that's mainly why he does these movies. Is one, it's fun to do, and it's great to get all the cast together from the site. But he wants to be a filmmaker, just like his brother wants to be a filmmaker. I know Jesse Cox, that he's not really a reviewer. He's not a reviewer at all, but he does do content, gaming content on YouTube. And, he is a professional voice actor, but he wants to become more prolific. And that's his dream, is to become a big voice actor. And I actually kind of share that dream. Voice acting is kind of my thing that I want to, would love to make a career out of, because I love voice acting so much. I'm basically a big kid when it comes to cartoons and things like that, and I'd love to be a part of that. Anyway, I'm just doing this because I want to, basically. It's just something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and now I can finally do it. And I think I have the skills. I feel I'm funny enough. I feel I have video editing skills good enough to entertain, and I can inform as well as entertain. So, yeah, that's why I'm here. Just having fun. Hope you guys have fun watching my videos. Now, the concept and schedule for the show, of course, I'm not going to give you a actual schedule of the show. I'm not going to tell you what games I'm going to review until the actual video is out, of course. Though there may be some things that I want to tease towards, like theme month I want to do in the near future, which I will tell you guys about some other time. But anyway, the concept for the show is basically, when I started this, when I started to come up with the concept for the idea, I wanted a unique show with a unique name, and then, of course, the unique name here being Super Tired Gamer. I think it's pretty catchy. And I wanted to do games that not a lot of people do, because I'm sure that's what a lot of reviewers want to do. They don't want to do games that everyone has reviewed, but sometimes they run into that. Sometimes there's several different reviews for one game. And I want to try and avoid that. Of course, there may be times where I do a game and or I play a game that I really, really, really want to do a review of, but there's already a review out for it. But I will only do that review if I feel I can bring something different and do something different that the other person didn't do for the game. Because there's really nothing more annoying than having someone churn out a review that's pretty much the exact same thing as someone else's. And that doesn't mean they ripped them off. It just means that it's basically the same thing, even though they were still doing it originally theirs. I don't know if I really explained that properly. But yeah, that's the whole concept. That's why I did Power Rangers, because I couldn't find a single review for Power Rangers, the Fighting Edition, and I'm sure someone's gonna link me to one, and I'm gonna be like, oh, well, my hands are freaking red here, but the video's out. There's nothing really I can do about it. I'm not gonna take it down, because I worked hard on that, damn it. Uh, and as for this weekly rant show, it's practically unscripted. I do have some bullet points that I want to talk about, but it's mainly unscripted, and it's a rant basically. The reason I did this is because I tend to rant to myself. Basically, what you're hearing right now is what I'll usually talk to myself, and I know that sounds crazy. It really does, and I probably am crazy, but I tend to rant to myself about things if I don't have anyone else to talk to about it. And I figured that's not very healthy. So I thought, why not just do a show where I do that, but to people on the internet, so that you guys are hearing my random rants and my thoughts and everything on a weekly basis. Plus, it gives me something quick and easy I can put out every week that does count as content and is something that people would want to listen to or watch. So that's that. Basically, I'm gonna pick a weekly topic. It can be about games. It doesn't necessarily have to be. I'm going to try and keep it about games, at least for a while. And that's it, really. That's going to be weekly, every Wednesday. And the review show is going to be fortnightly. If you don't know what fortnightly is, or what a fortnight is, that's 2 weeks. So every other Saturday is what I'm going to try and aim for. Now, bear with me, I am sort of getting this. I'm still trying to figure out everything. I'm still trying to get into a groove with these reviews, and I'm actually having a bit of a trouble with the one I'm working on right now. So if I'm a little late on a review, please don't yell at me. You guys are probably going to yell at me anyway. It's the internet. I know how it works. But if you yell at me, try to be nice about it. So yeah, that's that. I also have another show I want to do that every reviewer does, and it's a bit of a cliche, but they're still fun to do, and they're fun to watch, is the Super Tired Top 10, or Top 5, depending on the topic for the top 5 or top 10. I may have 10 things I choose, or I may have 5 things I choose, or I may have in between, I may have less, I may have more. It depends, and what also depends is on how quickly I get it done. That one has no schedule. The top 10, top 5 has absolutely no schedule whatsoever. It's just when I get it done is when I'm going to upload it. And I think it's a bit of a treat, bit of a present if I don't really announce when it's going to come up. and I just upload it, and you guys, oh, cool, Super Tired, top 10. Just rolls off the tongue, and it's gonna be awesome to watch. I'm so stoked. And I'm pretty sure you guys don't actually think about me that way, because, well, I don't know if I'm that entertaining. But I hope someone out there will, although that might be a little creepy, if you think about it. Yeah. Now, the topic for today is graphics in video games and how it has a polarizing effect on people. Now, I'm sure you've noticed, whether it's on a forum or on YouTube comments or on 4chan or wherever, that graphics have kind of divided people into two camps: the only thing that matters camp and the doesn't matter at all camp. Now, I'm going to characterize these camps into two different types of people. They are broad generalizations, and I don't actually believe that everyone in these camps are this way, but I'm going to do it anyway. Now, the only thing that matters crowd will be characterized as gaming brosif, bruh. And the doesn't matter at all crowd will be characterized as gaming Esquire the Second. Gamer brosif always goes for the games with the best graphics, man. Best graphics, brah. It doesn't matter what kind of game it is. If it has mind-blowing graphics and it's an awesome game, brah. Brah, do you lift, brah? How much you lift? How much you lift, brah? Now, where Gaming Broseph has it wrong is that, of course, he only cares about the graphics in a game. Graphics are a part of gaming, yes, but they are not the most important part. There are much more important parts of a game, whether it's gameplay, or a convincing story, or good voice acting, or good sound design, or good music, anything else is basically a lot more important. But that doesn't mean that you should go into Gaming Esquire the Second's camp. Yes, I am Gaming Esquire the Second, and graphics do not matter at all. Gaming was far better in the days of yore with the NES, God of War, more like Golden Axe the Sight version. Now, while Gaming Esquire does essentially have his heart in the right place, and does care about things like gameplay and story as opposed to graphics, he does tend to fancy himself as enlightened, and that is definitely not the case. Because, really, all he is just another extreme, the other side of the coin. The point that I'm trying to get across, is that neither of these camps really have it right. One is a bit more on the right track than the other, but neither of them really has hit it. The point of the matter here is that graphics do matter, but not as much as any other aspect of the game. All factors of game are important, of course, but some are more important than others. Amazing graphics are great, but they aren't worth taking away development resources from any other part of the game. And no, I did say resources, not time. I'm not stupid enough to think that gaming studios only have one team that work on everything. They have different teams that work on different things, so they're not taking away time, but they do take away development resources, aka money. Gaming companies, I've noticed, will sometimes shell out tons of money to make their games look as amazing as they can, and the rest of the team doesn't have the money they need to keep working on things like the story. They can't hire good enough writers, they can't hire good enough voice actors, they can't hire good enough sound designers or composers, or anything else that makes the game great. For example, if you want to talk about me personally, I find that proper sound design, good music, and proper voice acting that is actually believable is far more important than good graphics to get me immersed. If you want to talk about a game that I never feel immersed in, and this may disappoint a lot of you, Skyrim. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. That game looks amazing. Oh, it's beautiful to look at. But that takes about 5 minutes for me to just realize that every other part of the game is just lacking. Not only the gameplay, but the voice acting is really lackluster, and you start to run into people that have the same voice as another person. That really breaks my immersion, and Skyrim is all about immersion. You think that they would put more money and resources and work into these things, but they didn't, and it's a real letdown. And I might talk about Skyrim more extensively later on in another rant, but for now, I'm just gonna say that that's that basically. But one game that did immerse me immensely is the Disgaea series. Now, you may be wondering, Disgaea, it's not immersion. spend the whole game, in a top-down view, and it's an isometric strategy game like Final Fantasy Tactics. Yes, that's true, and it doesn't have the most mind-blowing graphics out there. It's all sprites and everything. But that's a choice that the studio made, of course. But the voice acting is so good in those games, and the humor is amazing. The writing is brilliant, you know? And the music, oh, I love the music in the Disgaea series. And those games get me much more immersed and much more into playing, and I can play Disgaea or, other games like Fire Emblem, other games like that for hours on end because I'm so engrossed in everything. And it has nothing to do with the graphics. However, of course, graphics do still matter. If you have every single part of the game tip-top shape as good as you can, then work on the graphics. Seriously, I encourage it. I like pretty games. I like playing games that I want to look at, but I don't want it to suffer because of it. Now, I think I have a good example for this. If you would prefer Super Mario Brothers from the NES over the All-Stars version on the SNES, then you are either tripping on nostalgia, and I understand that, believe me, I do. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game, and it by far, it's definitely one of the best, but really, if I were to choose a best Zelda game, it'd probably be Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time. But my favorite is still A Link to the Past, because of nostalgia. That was the first Zelda game I ever played on the first console I ever owned. So, of course, it has nostalgic value for me. I understand if you would prefer the NES version of Mario over the All-Stars version of Mario, if it's for nostalgia reasons. Another reason would be that you're just trying to disagree with me, and that would make you a bit of a jerk, but some people are like that. You know, they're just confrontational, and they want to disagree with someone's opinion. That's fine. But for any other reason, it's not really a valid reason. Because they are functionally and mechanically the exact same game, one just looks better than the other. And that adds to the game. It really does. So to sum up today's rant, graphics, while important, are not as important as anything else in a game. Of course, you may disagree with me, and that's fine. That's the thing. I don't want you guys, uh, copying my opinion. I hate it when people get so sycophantic that they take anyone's opinion that they're a fan of to heart like that. You gotta form your own opinions, and if you disagree with me, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'll talk to you about it. We can have a debate, I guess. It's actually kind of fun that way. The world would be boring if everyone agreed with each other. So, leave a comment if you agree or disagree, or if you want to have an intelligent discussion, although this is YouTube, so YouTube comments aren't the best place to have intelligent discussions. But if you want to try it out, then we can give it a shot. This has been me, the Super Tired Gamer. If you like the video, be sure to like it. If you really like it, be sure to favorite it. And be sure to leave a comment, and if you like me, be sure to subscribe. That is me for the Wednesday, and I'll talk to you later.